Mother Teresa of Calcutta, on her work with the homeless and destitute, once said, "I can do things you cannot. You can do things I cannot. Together, we can do great things." As the 21st century began in Dallas, there was an exuberant hope that great things were indeed ahead for this iconic American city, in the arts, in business, education, and quality of life. But community leaders knew all too well that despite this hope, there existed a human crisis. Over 6,000 people in the city were homeless each night, men, women, and children. A number doubled what it had been in the 1990s and growing every day. Amid the city's dazzling skyline, on the streets, in the parks, in alleyways and doorways, they huddled. Sure, finding a meal here and there was always possible, but there was no real solution to end long-term homelessness. To give these citizens a chance to find housing, employment, and the dignity they deserved. So while grand visions were conceived and drawn up for other aspects of the city, there was a growing understanding that Dallas could never be truly a great city unless all of its people could share in that grand promise. And with that, an idea was born. The year was 2003. Mayor Laura Miller and City Council announced that Dallas would devise a strategy to end long-term homelessness.
There was a renewed national conversation about homelessness. Homelessness had been increasing. The period of time that people were experiencing homelessness had been lengthening. So the city and the Metro Dallas Homeless Alliance and the United Way had brought the service community, the homeless community together to assess services, recognize what was working, what was struggling, and what needed to be done. We recognized that the need we needed to address was not only homelessness, but the prolonged periods that people were experiencing homelessness. So we recognized we needed to do two things with the bridge. We needed to have a very engaging, welcoming set of activities. Because most people want basic, straightforward things when they come in. They want a meal, they want a shower. So we focused on that, but we recognized we had to take advantage of the rapport that we would build with people through those activities and as quickly as possible get to transitional programs in ways that would lead to long-term success by matching employment opportunities that they actually had skills for, by matching housing environments that complemented what their long-term needs were going to be. That's really the most dynamic part of the concept of the bridge. Not only did the community agree to invest in building the bridge, but we had a variety of partners agree to work with us towards those two objectives, meeting basic needs and linking them to transitional opportunities so that we can ultimately reduce long-term homelessness.
Businessman Tom Dunning was appointed the city's first homeless czar in mid-2004, and a task force of civic and business leaders, social workers, healthcare professionals, and volunteers was formed a few months later.
I'm in the men's transitional shelter at the bridge, and many people have asked me over the years, how did you get involved with the bridge? Well, it happened in probably June of 2004, and I received a call from Laura Miller, the mayor of Dallas, saying, "I want you to be my homeless czar." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "Well, George W. Bush, President of the United States, has come out with a plan to end the chronic homeless, a 10-year plan. And our council voted back in January to be part of it and to build a 75,000-foot new shelter. The problem is we don't know where to build it. Would you drive around and look at different locations?" And I said, yes. But what really sold me is when I went to the Day Resource Center. And I had actually seen that 15 years before when I headed a homeless effort for then Mayor Annette Strauss. And what shocked me is people were sleeping outside in tents. They were, if it was bad weather, they were sleeping side by side. Many were sick. It was just something that should not have happened and should not have been happening in Dallas. So with that, I said, I'll do it. But we looked in South Dallas, we looked in North Dallas, we looked on Harry Hines, And I'll say this, the council was 100% supportive of this location. The people on this committee are real heroes because they stood up. But you know what? This is one of the really fine examples of what Dallas is all about, and that is taking care of those people who need to be taken care of, who don't really have a voice in our city.
I got the honor and the pleasure to sit on Tom Dunning's committee as he started to pull our strategy together and how we were going to deal with homelessness. Tom is the ultimate passionate pragmatist. I mean, he had real passion about this issue, but he was very pragmatic in how he approached it. He had quality people in the committee listening to different folks. He did best practices. And he talked to a lot of community folks. And let me tell you, there was a lot of community input on where we were going to put a homeless assistance center. He powered through the politics of that. We looked at different sites, and through his leadership, we ended up with a site that we're at today. So it would never have happened if Tom had not stepped up to the plate like this.
After considering many locations and after heated debate throughout Dallas, City Council approved the current site. In 2005, things really began to happen. Camargo Copeland of Dallas and Overland Partners of San Antonio led the design process with the goal of creating a facility unlike any other, one of light, air, beauty, and a sense of dignity. A place that would take the homeless from despair to hope to home. It was no surprise that it would be called The Bridge. It was classic Dallas, public and private interests coming together with a bold vision, complementing each other all along the way, including the Meadows and Perot Foundations, the Harold Simmons Foundation, and the Mike and Mary Terry Family Foundation, plus citizens willing to vote with their hearts and their minds for something extraordinary. And vote they did. In late 2005, the community voted for an additional $23 million to build and operate this new facility. And Tom Dunning passed the reins to future Dallas Mayor Mike Rawlings to serve as homeless czar to lead the next phase of the project development and the community-wide fundraising effort.
He really got the city council to endorse a bond election. And so it went to the voters. That's where I picked up the baton. We had to get the voters to approve this issue. And it's not one of those real popular issues to pass bonds these days, and people look at it very closely. And so a lot of people didn't think it would pass. I was so proud that the citizens came to the forefront and passed this. They said, we do want to deal with a homeless issue. And we were able to build a beautiful building that ultimately won the Rudy Bruner Award.
Even when the bridge was conceived, it was always conceived as a public-private partnership with the idea that the city would build the facility, then contract with a private 501c3, the bridge, to operate the facility. And that our funding would come from public sources, which it does. We get money from the federal government, from the state, from the county, and importantly from the city, but also from private philanthropy. And so for our budget, we get about a third of our annual operating budget covered by private philanthropy. And so we're very grateful for our corporations, our foundations, and our donors for making those contributions so that our work can continue. It's critical to what we do here at the bridge. In addition to getting money for the operations of the bridge, we also get special gifts to help us out, and one of the manifestations of that is where I am today. So I'm here in Mac's Barbershop, and this space was refurbished and furnished by a generous gift from Casey McManaman and his family to honor his granddad, who was a barber, longtime barber in Dallas, Mac McManaman. And so it's just a place where people, our guests, can come and get haircuts, and then we have also guests who are trained to be barbers who come and work here in this barbershop. So it's a wonderful facility. We're grateful for the support of the McManaman family and for all of our donors for what they do, both in terms of providing us operational support as well as these special gifts that make the bridge as successful as it is.
Construction began in January of 2006 for the 75,000 square foot facility, and the City Council designated the Metro Dallas Homeless Alliance to manage the bridge. It was completed in May of 2008, and immediately its impact was felt. The bridge provided emergency shelter, transitional housing, care management, coordinated medical and behavioral health care, mental health and substance abuse services, and employment and benefits assistance, plus laundry facilities, a library, and storage for belongings, and of course, 3 meals every day. The bridge's unique design was also recognized as a sustainable complex, certified as a leadership in energy and environmental design.
Well, when I come down to the bridge and see all the activity and the amazing things go on, I realize it's not just the bridge and its staff that are achieving the results and caring for our guests the way we do, but it takes the work of partners. We have on-site partners that are providing behavioral health care, providing a clinic for our folks, providing a place they can go and seek employment. So we have a number of on-site partners that work with us and with our guests during the day. We have off-site partners. We have partners who provide long-term housing, as well as partners that work with us on overnight shelter with our guests. And so the coordination and the collaboration that's required to make the bridge work is pretty amazing, and all that goes into it. And we know we share a mission and a vision with these other organizations to care for the homeless and to get them back into homes and off the street. We're particularly appreciative of our volunteers. We work with a number of volunteers in a number of ways throughout our organization, including those that come in to this barbershop that I'm in. And so we're grateful for all the support and all the help we get from our organization and from our volunteers.
Today, the bridge continues to redefine homeless recovery in America. In fact, civic leaders from cities throughout the world continue to use Dallas and the bridge as a model of how to do things right.
So we feel affirmed, we feel a renewed call to action. We've had success with our target population. We've seen the group experiencing long-term homelessness significantly reduced. And we're confident that we can keep people from that situation. We're confident that in Dallas we can ensure that people don't need to be homeless for years upon years. But as long as there's poverty, there's a need for a response. As long as there's homelessness, there's going to be a need for our type of activities. And we're working hard to be as efficient as we can in continuing to respond.
Today, over 1 million people in Dallas live at or below the poverty line, a harsh reminder of the roots of homelessness. So while we know what works, we also know what more is needed, what still needs to be done.
I know this city has got a big heart, and I see it day in and day out, and it's great to have something very tangible to point to and say, this is happening because we believe in taking care of our fellow men and women. The citizens passing this election, the philanthropists coming to the table and giving what they've done, the professionals collaborating, that shows to me proof positive that Dallas is one of the biggest, hardest cities in the nation.
As its name implies, the bridge was built to take the homeless across what was once thought to be an impassable divide. But it has done much more. It has taken all of us to a new place of understanding, commitment, and collaboration to solve one of today's most pressing social issues in Dallas and do great things. That is the bridge, the way back home.